Hello, my fellow writers. I hope this video finds you rested, peaceful, doing really, really well, um, being okay with everything that's going on. I have to admit that I am officially exhausted. I'm sure I've mentioned this in a previous video, but writing is a very part-time gig for me right now because I'm a teacher and a mother who is at homeschooling her own kids. So I have just filmed, I think, 9 videos for my kindergarten kids, because that's how I'm teaching them, is through a YouTube channel, because then they can just hop on whenever they have time. It's hard when you have a house filled with little ones to make specific time to do things. If you have little ones, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And my mom has been in the hospital. So by the time I actually post this, I'm sure she'll be well and fine. But yeah, it's been an incredibly stressful time. And I now that we're almost in June, having done this homeschooling and having been a distance teacher, it's, yeah, it's exhausting. But I did want to film this video because I thought, hey, I'm filming for school. I may as well film for my own personal to be cathartic and to kind of hopefully just release and let go myself. Hopefully let go of some of this tension, because I still have, I think, 10 more videos I need to film for my school. But I wanted to finally address publishing, because I know that is like the ultimate end goal. Now, I need to add the caveat that, and I know I've said this before in other videos, I myself am in the process of trying to become published. So if you are in that same frame as me, then we are in this together. And it is a grueling, emotionally draining, got to be tough as nails kind of a situation. You need to be okay with criticism. You need to be okay with hearing absolutely nothing at all. You need to be okay with good generic feedback. You need to be okay with being rejected in a very short time frame. So it's a process. And you know, if at the end of it nothing happens, you also need to be okay and aware of, maybe I need to go back and look at what I've submitted, and maybe there's room to make it better, which is the stage I'm in right now. And I think I've said this already, so I apologize if I revisit things over and over again, but I decided to look at my manuscript again, and I went back to some feedback I had received. I've spoken about Authors Publish and Emily Harstone, and she's amazing. And she gave me some feedback that at the time I was unwilling, unwanting, unable to be open to. And so I kind of ignored it and went forward and submitted my manuscript. And I have heard, well, I've heard some positive things, but no, yes, we love it, we want to do it yet. So I decided, okay, let's put my ego aside. Very hard to do. Even if you don't have much of one, it's still, it's like your heart in this case. It's not just your ego, it's your heart as well. Put that aside, and I went back and read her feedback again, and I have really taken it to heart. And I am in the process. I've almost finished rewriting the first tale. I have 3 more to go, and of course that's only 4 out of the 9. I've just started writing the 5th, but so yeah, and I am really loving the changes. I've been reading it out loud to my son, because I find, and I've said this before, that reading your work out loud, it's amazing what you can pick up and how you read it differently than what's on the paper, and you go, oh, wait a second, that actually sounds better, so you can change it. And it's been magic. And so I've been reading it to him, and he's 10, has been totally engaged in the story this time around. Before, he was quasi-engaged because, well, he's one of the main characters in the story. But I really found that he was very easily distracted. But now it's totally changed. He is in it. He's reading the lines with me. So that has been an amazing transformation. But anyway, I digress. So publishing. There are essentially three different ways that you can go about being published. The first one is self-publishing, which has been a huge trend in publishing as of late. But I know I feel the gears kind of shifting back toward like original publishing, having a publisher publish your work for you, but it's not something that has been totally taken off the charts. So if this is something you feel passionately about and want to self-publish, there are some amazing companies out there that can help you through this process, and I will include a couple of them in the description below if you'd like to check some out. Now, please be very careful to do your due diligence. I've done a little bit of research on this, but I'm not going the self-publishing route, so I have not done a lot of research. So before you dive headfirst into this, make sure you read reviews, and lots of them. Writers will be very open and honest about things. And do your due diligence before diving in, because you are the one who needs to promote. There's a lot of self-promotion in no matter what type of publishing you go with, but with self-publishing, you are putting yourself on the line and you are responsible for everything to do with that book. So be very, very wise and careful in your choice, but try to find a company who will help you with some of that process. Now, this is the more costly route initially to go, because you are responsible for the majority of the costs of getting your book into print and into ebook format, or whatever you choose. You could just go the ebook route too, through Amazon or Kobo Books, or Chapters Indigo, whatever the case may be. So there's the self-publishing route. Then there is the traditional publishers route, which is the route that I am hoping to get published through, and that is through not necessarily the big five, the top five publishing firms, because honestly, they won't even look at your work unless you have representation. So if you are in this on your own and you don't have an agent representing you, you are going to have to stay clear of the big companies, because they get so many manuscripts. They now only really deal with agented work. So keep that in mind. But there are so many traditional publishers that are smaller that are out there, and Authors Publish is an amazing resource for that. They have books that have, I think, the top 200 publishers, along with the type of work they publish, the age group they publish for, like all of that. So that would be where I would start, and I will provide the link. I'm sure I've done that already, but I'll provide it again this time. And then the third one that you really want to stay clear of, which I almost got myself entangled with, is a hybrid publisher, or a, what else? I can't remember what they call it at the moment. Vanity publisher. So a hybrid or vanity publisher. So this is a publisher that will publish your work, but you have to cover a large cost of that initial publishing fee. So for example, when I first submitted my book, and I've spoken about this before, and I was super excited to get the letter in the mail and the big package. It was last October 2019, and I was just thrilled initially. And then I read the contract, and it was funny because the person who had written me the letter had said be very careful reading through this contract, read through this very carefully. So that kind of set the red flags going. I mean, you should always read a contract very carefully, even have it looked at by a lawyer is not a bad idea, who specializes in publishing contracts, just to make sure that all your bases are covered if you do receive one. And if you do, I'm so proud of you. Good for you. That's amazing. But yeah, if you go this route, then you will be on the hook for quite a big chunk of change. And they, for me, had asked for $3,000 to start the process. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. But it was a little slice of hope initially. And then it was like, oh man, nope, this is not the route I want to go. And then I just started submitting to traditional publishers on my own. Now, when you are looking at getting your work published, so you've written your manuscript, you've researched it, you've checked it, you've gone through all of your notes and timelines, making sure everything tracks. Your characters speak the same throughout the whole book, or the whole manuscript. Sorry, you can't call it a book until it's published. You've double checked everything. So that's step one, is the actual writing of the manuscript. Step two, have you had it professionally edited? This is a cost. For me, I think it cost $3,000 in the initial process, and I've only had it professionally edited once, even though I have changed it quite a bit. But it's that initial edit that shows you how to word things. Really, a lot of mine was just flipping sentences around to make them sound better, and once I got the gist of that, it was good. But they also track grammar issues, spelling mistakes, sentence structure, very key things, because you want your manuscript, you want to present your manuscript in the absolute best light. And I'm kind of kicking myself now that I didn't take the advice in October of last year before submitting it again, because at the time I thought my manuscript was at its best, but now reading it over and changing it, I'm like, oh crap, it wasn't at its best. So I'm hoping I haven't really screwed myself over. So yeah, so you've written it, you are super sure it is its absolute best, you've had it professionally edited. Now you're ready for publishing. Here's the thing, and please listen to this advice very, very carefully. Research what each publisher wants specifically when you are submitting. Every publisher is different. Most of them are going to want a query letter, and when I first started this process, I had no idea what a query letter was. A query letter is essentially a letter of introduction. Now, there are some very specific guidelines that you need to follow to create your best query letter, and you need to get your manuscript summarized in the absolute best way you can in a paragraph. So practice that, rewrite it, come up with as many different paragraphs as you can to describe your book, and see which one works the best. You can even have, if you have beta readers who've read through, that's another thing, sorry, I forgot to say. You've written it, you've had it edited, and you've had it read by as many beta readers as you can. Beta readers can be friends, family members, professionals if you have access to that, anyone who can give you advice. And I would probably do that actually before you get it edited. So it's the best thing, it's your absolute best version of your work. So you can get your beta readers to help you with this. I will also provide a link to an article, I think, that takes you to some of the top examples of query letters that the author has been published from that query letter. And again, because I've changed my book, I had my query letter all ready to go. However, I think I'm going to have to adapt and adjust because I might be switching how I want the manuscript to be published. So there's a query letter. You're going to have to be able to summarize your work in a variety of different lengths. Some people want a page summary, some people want 2-page summary, some people want a 300 word count summary, some publishers want a 10-page summary, and this is a process. It takes a long time to put all this stuff together. But do not assume that every publisher is going to want the same thing. Read their submissions policy very carefully and make sure that you are adhering to everything that they are asking for, because if there's something that you are missing or something you have not followed, they won't even bother looking at your work. So this is very, very, very important to do. And again, Authors Publish is perfect. She just breaks down everything. She takes you to the links of the submissions pages. Sometimes it's really difficult on a publisher's website to even find the submission guidelines. So this is an incredibly useful tool that Emily has put out for people. So thank you, Emily, you're amazing. Sorry, this video is running really long. Is there anything else? So query letters, summaries. Some publishers want a full manuscript, some want the first 3 chapters. So again, read that very carefully. Some will only accept online submissions, some will accept it by email, some will accept it by mail. So again, be very, very clear, very careful in how you go about that. And there are lots who will accept unagented work. So if you do not have an agent, don't panic. It's actually a longer process to get published if you do have an agent. So if you can go the road alone, as difficult and challenging as it is, that is the road you should take. And I wish you nothing but the best, because it is a bit of a challenge. And I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I will talk about agents in the next video and give you some advice. There is actually a YouTuber who was an agent who has some really interesting feedback and the top reasons why agents have refused work and all of that kind of thing. It might be hard to watch, but I think it's a very good thing too, just so if an agent is what you are hoping to find, it might be a really useful tool. So I will, sorry, there's one of my cats scratching, but scratching exactly where she should be scratching. Good girl, Zoe. And so I will provide that YouTuber's link in the agent video that I'll do next time. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Anyway, I hope this has helped. If you have any questions at all about the process, or if I have missed anything, please don't hesitate to comment below. Yeah, and good luck. It's a hard road, but man, I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping for that day that I get that letter and I can share that with you, and you can share it with me if you've gotten one or are in the process of it. It'd be pretty darn exciting. Anyway, take care of yourself, stay healthy, keep with this whole quarantine business. The better we can do this the first time around, the shorter this whole process will be. So take care, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.